First, I'm going to introduce our moderator, who's standing right here, Dori Kirshner from Matan, wonderful partner of ours. Please welcome Nat Snell from Alphabet Mission to Mars. Cory Reeder from Best Friends. I'm going to invite up Danielle Ward from Understood, who is also a partner on this event and the festival. Senior Public Relations Manager, understood.org. Should be on their mailing list. And please welcome from the final film, Kelly Anderson from Unstuck, an OCD kids movie. And I know Kelly has a few special guests with her here too, so we can hand it over to you, Dori, and then we'll let her introduce.
Oh, hi. So thank you, everyone, for coming. I just want to point out some people involved with Unstuck. So in the very back row, you'll see Vanessa and Charlotte, the siblings. Stand up, guys. And then Chris and Allie. Chris is the producer, and Allie is the assistant producer on the film. And Vanessa and Charlotte are their kids. So they're totally partners in all this. And then we have Josh Heilbronner here, who did the sound mix for the film. He's here also.
Thank you, Kelly. And thank you, everybody, for being here. I wanted to start with Nat. I'm going to go sort of in order that the films were shown. What inspired you, Nat, to make the film?
The artistry, the book by Audrey and Bruce Wood called Alphabet Adventure, Alphabet Mystery, and Alphabet Rescue.
And what about those films?
Those books.
Those books inspired you to make a film?
They went on adventures, and it made me inspire things of my interest.
So, is there anything that you want to tell us about the studio where you do the work? Because it seems very, very interesting.
My artistry is where I went to a studio called Artistry. Mm-hmm. AUTISTRY.
Mm-hmm. And how many days, weeks, months did you go in order to make this film?
1 day a week in a year.
Wow. Wow. Well, we all really enjoyed the film. Did you mean for it to be like funny in certain parts? Were you happy when people laughed?
Yes.
Okay, good. 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 We really enjoyed it. We really enjoyed it. So, Cory, I'm going to move on to the next one. Best friend. My question is more along the lines of, did you have an experience either with dogs or with people with disabilities that led you to create the script that then you brought to life in the film? Was there what sort of inspired you to turn that?
Well, every year I participate in this thing called the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge, and you have to make a short film in 55 hours. That means write it, shoot it, edit it, and post it online to then be part of this competition. And Best Friend was the third year that I've done that. And as I go through this and I learn more every year, just kind of about storytelling, I've been trying to reach out and work with new people. And Jeton, the little girl that plays Deirdre, just by chance, I was having coffee with a friend of mine who brought a friend, Jeton's father named Julian, and he happened to mention he had a daughter who had Down syndrome. And the light bulb went off, and I said, does she want to act? And he said, oh yeah, she wants to act. And so the next week we went out, and we got some coffee and ice cream, and I met Jeton, and she just has such a bright light about her. So I knew, even though I didn't know what the challenge was going to be, which they give you the genre and sort of the theme of the movie, the day that you have to start writing it. So it turned out to be family comedy, and it had to be a big life change. So I said, you're cast, you're going to be the star, but I don't know what it's going to be. So when I got the family comedy and the big life change, I just started, the wheels started turning, and the big life change was a move across the country. And I've had friends that had dogs that have the little wheelchair things, and I was like, and I'm not gonna lie, you know, I'm a sucker for the "aww" moment. I mean, it hits me like it hit me in everybody's film today. So I put that into it, and just it's a matter of kind of like then tying everything together in a good way. And this year with Best Friend has just been such a magical experience because, you know, I'd like to think that I did some things right, but I surely didn't do this alone. I mean, all the other people that stepped up, you know, my wife helps me produce these things, and then it's just a whole, I just try to get a big team together. You know, we had PAs on the set that were on the spectrum, and it just, it came together in a really good way to be able to, you know, strike a chord with audience. And I'm here at ReelAbilities in New York. I mean, this is amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. So Danielle Ward is a staff member of an organization called Understood.org. If you don't know about it, you should definitely change that today. They produce amazing data, both for parents and for, you know, people that are struggling with learning challenges. There are all sorts of resources and really great interviews. Danielle, I heard that in addition to being a staff person at Understood, you also wear a parent hat of at least one person with learning disabilities. So in relation to the film, Partially Compensated, what I wanted to ask was if that experience, if Violet's experience resonated with you, and what you feel the profound impact was. You know, I struggle with the fact that it's called Partially Compensated.
Right.
But I wanted to know, wearing your parent hat,
Yes.
you know, how that film struck you.
Well, it really resonated. That's such a great question. Thank you. I work for an organization, it's a nonprofit, that we help parents who are navigating this journey with kids who are struggling with learning issues like dyslexia and ADHD, dyscalculia, which is trouble with math, and on and on. There's 13 more. People don't know about these disabilities. And just like the beautiful OCD movie, I was blown away by that because I didn't know about that one as significantly. It really moved me. So Partially Compensated moved me because what was so poignant about it, there's no words. And dyslexia is the disability of not being able to comprehend and read the words on the page. So that really resonated because it put into context what kids and adults struggle with every day. 1 in 5 kids in the US has a learning and attention issue, and it's not really known, so they're labeled. So stupid and dumb. They wear them constantly. And so what we try to do is try and help educate and build awareness, and also help parents know that they're not alone and their kids aren't alone. And what's so wonderful about this movie is that it showed that one teacher modified how the quiz or the test was so that that child could actually do the same work, because if the children are supported, they are just as smart as their peers. This is not an intellectual disability. Most of these disabilities are behavioral and brain disorders. So they just need supports, and the parents need support too. So it was a wonderful movie.
Thank you. Thank you. So my last individual question, Kelly, is I would love to hear, I think one of the most profound things about there are many profound things about the film, but the fact that the storytellers are the kids themselves, that you're really hearing the good, the bad, and the ugly from the people who've experienced or still experience OCD. So I wanted to know what led you to choose to have them not experts or adults, trying to pass on information, but the kids themselves be the storytellers?
Sure. So Chris and I got into making this film because we found ourselves in that bizarre alternate reality that life with OCD is, because our kids have OCD. And so we, we're just in the thick of this experience for a couple of years, trying to meet other parents and find the right therapists and so on. And being a filmmaker as well as a parent, I was in this, I kept going back and forth and saying, oh, maybe I should make a film about this. I'm not sure. But I felt with my parent hat on that, showing kids in the midst of their OCD anxiety and the treatment, I felt really conflicted about that. And so, like, my filmmaker instincts were like, got to get in there and document these kids struggling with OCD. And my parent hat was like, oh, I feel like I can't do that. There's an ethical issue of representing that. And even if the kids agreed to be in a film, they probably would feel weird about it down the road, So what happened was that I was watching another film one day about kids in divorce called Split, a film by Ellen Bruno, and it was only in the kids' voices. And I just suddenly was like, oh, this is the way to make this film. And it was also that I heard my daughter and Vanessa from the film in the backseat of the car one day when I was driving them home from OCD day camp, which is another story, and would make another great film. Talking about OCD, and they were so articulate, and they knew everything that the experts know, and one of the things the kids always say is like, yeah, my parents can tell me something and my therapist can tell me something, but I want to hear it from another kid. Like, that's really what feels real to me. So all of that kind of came together, and we said, okay, this is the way to do the film. We're going to let the kids be the experts. And they were so incredibly articulate, partly, I don't know why, but I feel like they have such presence and such maturity for their age. And it's partly because they've been through a lot, but it's also because the therapy is cognitive, and they've had to kind of make sense of this for themselves in order to get better. That I find them amazing. Yeah, so they're real heroes to me, and so they are the movie. Yeah.
Thank you.
We're very short on time, and I wanted to get some questions from the audience. And I would love some questions, reactions, thoughts for any of our panelists or all of them.
My name is Jonathan Williams, and I got who can I ask? The person over there. Question: I need to ask the lady in the navy blue and red. What was the what you were doing the thing for?
What's the organization I work for?
Yeah.
It's understood.org.
Yeah, is it for adults and children, right?
That's correct.
Where's the one located?
Well, it's a national organization, and it's on the web. It's on the internet.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you. More questions? Dori, feel free to ask if everyone's being shy.
I was so stricken by the presence of art in 3 of the 4 films. Did any of your participants, were they in art therapy?
No, one of the things that therapists often have kids do is draw an image of what OCD looks like to them, especially with very young kids, because that helps them externalize it and realize that it's not them, it's OCD. So some of those drawings in the film were that, and some of them we had asked the kids to make drawings to represent from their perspective what they had been through. So that's all the kids' original artwork.
Were the drawings in your film made by kids? Thank you.
I'm not sure if the clay animation, I think it was a puppeteer that actually did that.
My question is for Nat. The art was so beautiful, and I love the texture and the watercolors. I'm not familiar with the books that you based it on. Is that the same artwork from the books, or is that something creative from you, or a combination?
Combination.
I was just curious in terms of the OCD movie. You made reference to some organizations and the therapists who help these kids. How did you find them, and could you give us any names of organizations for OCD? Thank you.
Yeah, the International OCD Foundation is probably the best place to start. We do have a lot of resources on the film's website, which is ocdkidsmovie.com, but one of the big issues with OCD therapy that we found and other parents have found is that a lot of people are saying that they're doing OCD therapy, but it's not the evidence-based cognitive behavioral therapy that you see in the film, which is really, according to the people who know about this, the frontline treatment. And so the OCD Foundation has done really great work training mental health providers, and also they have a directory on their site. So if you're actually looking for a therapist, going to their site and making sure that the person is listed there as a recommended provider is a really important thing, I think. So it's really weird to me that there's not more really good therapists for this, because what's amazing to me is that the treatment is really effective, and it doesn't take that long. It's really hard work for the people involved, but, so it's kind of a success story. There's actually a way to treat this that works, and it seems like the bottleneck is that it's just really hard to find the good therapists, and a lot of them, at least in New York, don't take insurance because they don't get reimbursed enough, and so it's a stupid problem, in my opinion.
This is a good opportunity, I think, to also plug Matan, since Dori's been leading this panel, and I'm happy to make the plug, though she could probably do a much better job. And just to tell you a little bit about Matan, and they educate leaders and educators throughout the U.S. now. They're really in how many cities now?
Oh, we're in
Too many to count.
25 states or something.
And they help them create learning environments that are supportive of children with special needs, and this is they've been a wonderful partner here and across the country. I want to thank you all for being a part of this conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing us your films. Thank you for your partnerships. Thank you for helping enlighten these films further. ReelAbilities is here all week, so help spread the word. Come to more screenings and join us. Next up in this room at 1 o'clock, coming up soon, is A Hero's Journey. And Hero Steps, not A Hero's Journey, that's a different film. Hero Steps, which is appropriate for families with children who can read subtitles, and we'll have the director here for that after, so please join us, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks again.
Thank you.